Hello everyone. So today we're going to talk about the DS01 Smart Dimmer by Treatlife. The ones that have the patch that don't allow you to do the Tuya convert. So bear with me, I'm not a professional YouTuber, this is my first video. We're going to go through and try and explain this as best I can, how it works for me, and hopefully I can get it to work for you. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. All we have to do is get our smallest flathead, our standard screwdriver, and start opening up the box. These dimmers aren't glued or permanently sealed in any way, so all you have to do is take your flathead screwdriver and slide it in from one of the ends and work its way around. Careful not to break off any of the plastic tabs while you're doing that. And once you do that, it's pretty easy to open it up, and you can see that the ESP chip is right there, very well exposed. You don't have to unplug any more cables. You can just spread it open so you can have enough room to get to the ESP chip. So here's the pinout diagram for the ESP chip. Not really going to go too much in depth with how to use the jig. You can definitely find that online. But as you can see here, I have the jig set up with the pins all plugged in. The 3.3 I have going to an external power source. I have the ground going to my USB and my chip, and then I have the TX RX from my chip going to the USB RX TX. So you have to remember to switch those. Pretty simple. You just pop the jig on the top. I line up the ground side because it has a whole bunch of pins on the one side and only the 3.3 on the other side. So I line up the ground pin, make sure it's all good, and then I connect my neutral, my ground, to the ground, which is connected to, like I said, the chip and the USB. And then once I'm ready with my power supply, like I said, it's an option. It worked for me. I couldn't get it to work with the USB directly, so I started using an external one, and it seems to work a lot better for me. So the next thing we need to do is load our flasher. I use Tasmota Pi flasher, the regular Tasmota bin file, not the minimal. I couldn't get the Tasmotizer to work. It crashes on me, so I use Tasmota Pi flasher. You can see my power supply on the bottom left there is showing about 0.56 amps. So that tells me that I have a good connection, my pins are set right, and all I have to do is select the right COM port and press flash. It goes right away, and if it doesn't, you're going to probably have to close the program and reopen it and try again if your pins aren't lined up properly. But this program works very well for me. All you have to do is unplug the power supply when you're ready, and you can undo one of the ground pins and go from there, but I just unplug everything, seal it back up, and plug it into my testing setup without using any more pins. Now, that way I don't have to worry about the pins falling off or causing any problems there. So I seal it back up, and then I plug it into my wall outlet plug. So now that I have it back together, the next thing I do is to plug it into my little jig that I have set up. It has a regular incandescent bulb, and then there's my jig, which it's just a 3-wire outlet. Make sure it's unplugged while you do this, and then I use some Wagyu connections because they're really good for reusable, and you don't have to worry about twist tying and everything. So I just connect the wires. Ground goes to ground, and look for your all 3 whites, and then you'll connect all 3 of the whites to our 3-prong Wagyu connector. So let me see if I can find that 3rd white. Oh yeah, it's on my light. So the 3rd white, all 3 whites go together, all the neutrals go together. You use the red from the dimmer to the black on your light, and then connect the 2 blacks together in your last Wagyu connection. Once you have finished that, and remember we're working with mains power, so only do this if you really feel comfortable with what you're doing. All you have to do is plug it in, and then your Tasmota device will pop up as a Tasmota something number. All you have to do is connect to that with your Wi-Fi, and then you go to 192.168.4.1, just like you would to program any other Tasmota device you've done before. Up pops the screen, put in your Wi-Fi credentials and allow it to have time to reset, and you'll see it on your network. So the last thing I'll show you are the 3 console commands you'll need for this specific dimmer. The first one is the TuyaMCU 21,2, which I'll have in the description. The second one is the DimmerRange 150 to 1000, and then Powerretain 1. So those are 3 settings that I put on mine. I'm sure you can Google other settings, but for me this is all I put on mine, and they work just as I want them to. This took a little bit longer than I was hoping, but hopefully I gave you enough detailed steps that you guys are able to get your Treatlife dimmers to work as well, without any of the desoldering and cutting of pins and things that I've seen posted on the how-to guides on Google.